Hey guys, this is John Nance with Altronic. Some of you may have watched the video on how to calibrate a 0 to 5 volt pressure transducer, but you were asking yourselves while you were watching the video, well, hey, I don't have 0 to 5 volt pressure transducers in my panel. I have 4 to 20 milliamp pressure transducers in my panel. That's great. We've got a way to do that too. So in today's video, we're going to cover how to calibrate a 4 to 20 milliamp pressure transducer. So let's look at the diagram first. And here we have a transmitter. It's receiving 24 volt positive on one side. And this is a typical 2-wire 4 to 20 milliamp pressure transducer. There's a lot of different pressure transducers on the market that wire different ways. Some of them receive 24 volt positive and negative supply sources to power them. Maybe they have a little LED crystal display on the pressure transducer, and then they may have two separate wires that come out. Now those wire up a little bit different, but really pretty much the same way. You can contact me at john.nance@herbigger.com for any key critical questions on that, and I'll be happy to answer them. But this is an example of a standard 2-wire 4 to 20 milliamp pressure transducer. So we'll have the pressure transducer out on the skid or up under the panel, and we'll have 24 volts supplying, positive 24 volts supplying the pressure transducer. And then the negative wire for the pressure transducer is actually what's carrying the 4 to 20 milliamp current flow signal. And so that's going to connect down to one of the terminals for the associated channel, and your dip switches will be set to 4 to 20 milliamp. Now what that does is that takes this second terminal for that same channel and it connects it internally to ground with a 200 ohm resistor. So now let's talk about a little bit of Ohm's law for a moment. Ohm's law is Ohm's law, and that's why it's called law. But let me give you an example. 4 to 20 milliamps. If we take 0.004 milliamps and we multiply it by 200 ohms, we're going to get 0.8 volts. Likewise, if we take 20 milliamps, 0.020, and multiply by 200 ohms, we're going to get 4 volts. So actually what we do, and this is true in any product out on the market, in any industrial product that measures 4 to 20 milliamp currents, they all convert it to voltage at the end of the day. So that's what this jumper wire is doing. We're taking the signal in 4 to 20 milliamps and landing it at terminal, in this drawing 9, and then we're jumping the two terminals together with a jumper wire, and then internally this terminal is connected to ground with a 200 ohm resistor. So we're converting the signal from 4 to 20 milliamps to 0.8 to 4 volt range. And that's really neat to know when you're doing some testing out on site, so you don't have to break your wire and actually measure the amperage. You can simply do a voltage test. And so in this case, what I've done is I've set up a simulation, and I have a 4 to 20 milliamp pressure transducer wired, and I have it tweaked just a little bit off a little bit, and we're going to try to get it back into calibration. So I'm going to connect my terminal program to my DE3000, and I'm going to click Calibrate, and we're going to focus in on channel 1. And here we can see that the sensor's been set up to be a 0 to 50. We can see that its current value is off just a little bit. We really want it to be reading 0. But here are my voltages that we're starting out with. 0.8 volts equals 0 psi. 4 volts equals 50 psi. So we're just going to tweak the low side real quick. Now I measured the voltage earlier, and I've already forgotten it, so I'm going to measure it real quick one more time. And I have 0.860 volts. So all I'm going to do is highlight this 0.86. I'm going to click out of that cell and I'm going to hit accept. It takes a second to refresh, but there we go. We're reading 0. So we do the same thing for the high side, just like the 0 to 5 volts, except we're dealing with 0.8 to 4 volts. Once we're done with our calibration section and we don't have any more channels to go to, we simply hit exit and we are done, and our unit is going to read properly from now on. Thank you guys for your time and have a great day.